Okay, listen to me very carefully, my friend. Here's the deal. First, to steal the diamond, you need to get to a remote island. It doesn't exist on any map, and it's forbidden for ordinary people to be there. The diamond is in the heart of this place, inside a well-guarded deep underground bunker. It's impossible to get there through the main entrance. But lucky you, there's also a secret jail on the island. You can get there as a prisoner and then escape through the underground tunnel. That tunnel will lead you into the bunker. Then you should find the diamond. You'll have very little time for the whole operation. When you're done, a boat will be waiting for you in the southern part of the island. Do everything correctly and follow the plan, and then you'll encounter no problems. Got it? Alright, let's go. You and other prisoners get into a helicopter and fly to the island. You're handcuffed. At one moment, the helicopter begins to shake. The pilot says you're falling. He puts on a parachute and jumps out of the helicopter. Take a look around and decide what to do next. Faster! You see the keys to your handcuffs hanging near the cabin. Then you get rid of the handcuffs. The prisoners ask you to release them too. But be careful, these people are dangerous. All three of them say they know how to fly a helicopter. Who will you believe? That guy with a tattoo with a helicopter on his leg. Maybe he's a good pilot. You remove his handcuffs and he admits he has lied. None of these people knows how to fly a helicopter. There's only one parachute left. The prisoner pushes you to the side, grabs the parachute, and jumps out of the falling helicopter. You decide to release the other prisoners too. What will you do next? Jump without a parachute? Try to land the helicopter on your own? The helicopter's pilot abandoned the vehicle because the landing was impossible, so you will not succeed either. You need to jump. You have been flying over the ocean, remember? Also, the helicopter is falling, so the height isn't that great. You jump into the water and swim toward the shore. Suddenly, you notice a shark's fin. It's quickly approaching you. What are you gonna do? A. Try to swim to the shore as fast as possible. B. Don't swim anywhere and just float in the water. C. Dive and start waving your hands to scare the shark away. You need to stop. If you start swimming away, the shark will begin chasing you. Breathe in a lot of air and try not to make unnecessary movements. The shark will leave soon. But if it attacks, you'll have to attack back. Its gills and eyes are the animal's weak spots. Fortunately, the shark doesn't charge at you. It swims away, and you get to the shore safely. The island's guards are running out of the jungle. One of the prisoners who was with you in the helicopter is hiding in the bushes and invites you to join him. Where will you go? Let the guards catch you and take you to jail. Don't forget about your mission. They dress you in a yellow shirt and lead you away. You see many dangerous people. You're sitting at the table having lunch. There are 3 prisoners in front of you. One of them is going to escape. But who? That man with a book. A metal file serves him as a bookmark. Today, he will also try to escape. The underground tunnel leading from the prison to the bunker is located under the laundry room. You need to get out of your cell and get there. To do this, you have to get the metal file and pick the lock. Everyone goes out into the courtyard for a walk. You're following the man with the book. He sits down on the bench and hides the book under the seat. You need to distract him and get your hands on the book. You can use a basketball, dumbbells, or playing cards. What will you do? You can offer to work out with the dumbbells or play cards, but it will be difficult for you to get out of his sight. Start playing basketball. Throw the ball far away. The prisoner will run after it. Meanwhile, you'll take the book. So you grab the book but find no file inside. Instead of this, You find some money. It seems this guy has sold the tool to one of the other prisoners. You put the money in your pocket and look around the yard. Which of the prisoners can have the metal file? That guy is pressing his fingers to the sleeve of his shirt. Apparently, he's hiding the tool there. You're about to approach him, but one of the prisoners starts a fight. The guards are trying to prevent a riot. In all this chaos, someone hits you on the head and you lose consciousness. You wake up in a hospital ward. Oh no! You have almost no time left. The doors are locked. Several security guards are walking around. How can you get into the laundry room? In the corner, there's a huge cart with dirty laundry. Hide in there, and they'll take you to where you need to go. You hide among the dirty sheets. The cleaner takes the cart and transports you to the laundry room. He throws the linen into the washing machine and notices you. The cleaner's going to scream and call the guards. What will you do? You have some money, remember? You can pay for his silence. You move one of the washing machines and find a hatch under it. You climb inside and walk through the tunnel. It's very cold, wet, and dark here. Finally, you reach a small room. There are no windows and doors, only brick walls. What will you do? You can't go back. Among all these bricks, there's one sticking out of the wall. Try to push it. It worked. A secret door opens, and you step inside. You go down and find yourself in front of another iron door. You notice an oxygen tank with a mask lying nearby. You open the door and find yourself in an airlock room between two iron doors. One of the doors closes behind you. All the oxygen gets pumped out. You can't breathe, so you put on the mask. The second iron door opens, and you go inside. You see 3 tunnels. The first tunnel is filled with moving axes, blades, and other traps. High-voltage electric discharges flicker in the second tunnel. The third tunnel is burning with a bright flame. One of the threats is an illusion. Which tunnel will you choose? There's no air in the room, which means fire can't burn here. The flame is a hologram. You move on and find yourself in front of a dark room. It's so dark you can't see what's inside. It seems to you that the diamond is there. Stop. What is this diamond? Who gave you this mission? What are you doing here? What's happening? At this moment, some unknown force pushes you forward. You step into the black void and fall. You find yourself floating in outer space. It's so cold and scary here. You feel tiny in the boundless universe. Suddenly, you see something shining. Is it a star or an asteroid? A bright light illuminates the black space around you. Good job, a heavy voice says. You reach out your hand and touch the light. At this moment, at a great speed, you start flying back through space and time. You're falling fast and land in a dirty room. Frightened, you get up and open the door. Oh, yes, sunlight! You finally get out of the bunker and find yourself on the island. There are 2 paths in front of you. One leads to the south, the other to the north. Which one will you choose? The boat is supposed to be waiting for you in the south, remember? You go through the jungle and find an old car. You start the engine and grab an MP3 player with headphones from the glove compartment. You drive along the road listening to music when you realize the brakes don't work. There are 3 ways ahead. A brick wall is waiting for you at the end of the first road. The second one leads to a swamp, and the third leads to a high hill with a cliff. Where are you going to drive? There's almost no time. Release the gas pedal and drive up the hill. The car will start slowing down, and soon you'll be able to get out of it. You go through the jungle and find yourself on the shore. There's an old motorboat on the sand. You push it into the water, start the engine, and get in. After traveling for some time, you see rocks with shipwrecks next to them. You slow down and hear beautiful singing coming from the rocks. The singing is beckoning, and you direct your boat right toward the rocks. You're quickly approaching the place and can do nothing to stop the inevitable. What will you do? You have the MP3 player you found in the car. You put on the headphones, turn on cool epic music, and travel away. You're heading toward sunset, toward new adventures. And now, let's check your points. 0 to 3 points. You definitely shouldn't go on dangerous adventures. You may be able to pass the first test, but you aren't likely to get through all the trials. 4 to 7 points. It's better, but you still lack confidence. You might panic in an extreme situation, and panic is the main enemy of any adventurer. 8 to 11 points. You're not afraid of danger. You always move forward with confidence. But you need to work on your attention to detail and your logical thinking skills to be able to always get out of trouble. 12 to 14 points. You're a real adventurer. You can handle not only exhausting challenges, but also survive inexplicable strange situations that would drive other people mad.
Let's start with a couple of simple teasers to warm up your brain for today's challenge. The day before yesterday was Thursday. What is the day after tomorrow? If the day before yesterday was a Thursday, it means that today is Saturday. So the day after tomorrow is a Monday. Mrs. Jones has 6 dogs. Their names are Dodie, Rexy, Mel, Fang, Soso, and Lana. She just got another puppy. What do you think she will name it? Lexa, Bia, or Tina? Tina. She seems to follow the scale do, re, mi, fa, sol, la. And then comes T. Detective Callum was walking past a little house in the suburbs and heard a woman screaming, "No, Ben, don't!" He ran inside and saw an empty bottle of rat poison and several people inside. An elderly lady, a young man, a blonde girl, a brunette girl, and a cat. He figured out that one of them had drunk the poison. Without asking any questions, he picked up the man and drove him to the hospital. How did the detective know who drank the poison? He heard the name. It was Ben, and there was just one man in the house. Emma is a secret agent, and she's after a guy who's been possibly smuggling contraband from abroad. Tonight, she managed to find his secret office and broke into it. There were 4 safes. She used her equipment to open 3 of them, but they were empty. When she tried to get the code for the last safe, her device stopped working, so Emma could only rely on herself. If the codes for the 3 safes were 5378, 3785, and 7853, what is the code for the 4th one? You might have noticed that every next code is formed by moving the first digit of the previous code to the last position. So the 4th code must be 8537. Emily was on vacation and she was staying in a hotel. One evening, she was getting ready to go out when she heard a knock on her door. She opened the door and there was a stranger there. Oh, sorry. I must have made a mistake. I live nearby. Sorry for disturbing you. The guy left, but Emily didn't believe that it was a mistake, so she reported him. Why was she so suspicious? The guy knocked on the door. If he had really thought it was his room, he'd have tried to open it with his key. Esme was having a walk in the forest and got lost. Soon, she found a witch's house, walked in, petted a cat, and asked the witch to take her home, but the witch had a different proposal.
Give me a statement. If the statement is true, you'll stay here forever. If the statement is false, you'll stay here for 100 years. Otherwise, I'll take you home.
What did Esme say? Esme said, "I'll stay here for 100 years." Now, if it's true, she should stay forever instead, but then the statement will be false. If the statement is false, she will have to stay for 100 years, so it becomes true. The witch is too confused, so this time, Esme's going home. Detective Callum was following a robber around the city. Suddenly, the robber entered a hospital and disappeared. When the detective entered the building, there were 3 workers. One of them must be the criminal dressed up to pretend to be a doctor. Can you tell who it is? It's the guy on the left. All other doctors wear hospital shoes, and he's the only one wearing regular sneakers. On a summer day, the police warned that a robber had escaped from Spain and taken a plane to Los Angeles. They got the description of the robber. 6 feet tall, skinny, dark hair, no beard. Detective Callum arrived at the airport to arrest the guy. Take a look. Which guy is the one they need? It may seem that there's no one who fits the description, but look, this blonde guy here. Some dark hair is peeking from under his blonde wig. It must be the criminal in disguise. Detective Callum went on a vacation to a distant island somewhere in the Pacific Ocean. The problem is that he doesn't speak or understand a word in the local language. But right now, he needs to figure out which restroom to use. Since one is for men and the other is for women, he has found one local lady who doesn't speak English but can understand it. How can Detective Callum figure out which is the men's restroom? It's possible to do this by asking just 2 questions. At first, he should point at himself and ask, "Am I a man?" And remember the response. Whatever the local woman replies, it means a yes. Then, Detective Callum can ask the second question. Is this a men's restroom? Pointing at one of them. If the response is the same word as before, it's a yes. If it's different, then it's a no. By the way, what is it that can answer back in any language? It's an echo. Alu is a fairy who needs to fly to a village on the other side of the forest for some fairy business. The problem is that the trip there takes 6 days, but one fairy can only carry 4 packs of pixie dust, and one is only enough for 1 day. There's no chance of getting more pixie dust midway. It's all stored in the villages. So, Alu should take some helpers on the trip with her. How many helpers does she need? And what should be her strategy to reach the other village? Ailu will need 2 helpers. Let's call them B and C. Each of them will have a 4-day supply of pixie dust. So the 3 of them will have 12 packs. During the first day, they will all be using the pixie dust B is carrying. So they'll use 3 out of 4 packs. At the end of the day, B will fly back to the village. And Ailu and C will keep going. The remaining pack of pixie dust will be enough for B to make it back home safely. On the second day, Ailu and C will be using the pixie dust C is carrying. So they'll use 2 by the end of the day. Then C will go home. The road back home will take her 2 days, and the 2 packs will be enough for her to return. Ailu will continue her journey alone. It'll be just 4 more days. But she'll still have her 4 packs of pixie dust to make it there. L is a college student. She goes there by train, but she always rides her bike to the train station. Her house is between 2 stations, 1 mile from the first station and 2 miles from the second station. Every morning, she rides her bike to the first station. But every afternoon, when she returns from college, she gets off at the second station. Why? L lives on a hill. The first station is at the lowest point. The second one is at the highest point, and her house is in the middle. She takes advantage of this location to make sure she always goes down the hill to get wherever she needs. In a summer camp, everyone had to tell a fun fact about themselves, and other people had to guess if it was true or false. Camilla said, "My birthday is on February 29th, so I have 4 times fewer birthdays than everyone else. This year, I celebrated my birthday. I turned 17. Why didn't people believe her? February 29th only happens once every 4 years. Camilla couldn't celebrate her 17th birthday on her actual birthday because this number can't be divided by 4. So either she wasn't born that day or she's not 17. Esme was having her regular walk in the forest and got lost. After wandering around for a while, she found the witch's house. She walked in, petted the cat, and asked the witch to send her home. The witch had a question for her. If Esme answered correctly, she'd be free to go home. If not, Esme would have to stay with the witch and the cat. My grandma was born in 10 BCE. How old did she turn in 100 CE? She turned 109 because there was no year 0. There was 1 BCE and then 1 CE. Take a look at the picture and try to find teeth. Here they are. Can you find the odd emoji? It's right here. Okay, here's another one for you. Which emoji is different? Here it is. Hope you've got it. Can you find the odd one this time? Here it is. A group of students was having a history lesson. They used a time machine to observe different periods of time. When the teacher left them for a minute, the students used the time machine without permission and were taken to different times. Take a look at the pictures and try to find our time travelers. Can you see a student here? Look, this guy is taking a selfie. Okay, the next one. What can you say? Look at this girl. She's wearing sneakers. They didn't exist in ancient Egypt. What about this picture? Can you find a student here? Look, this guy is drinking soda. Finally, the fourth one. Can you find a time traveler? This girl has pink hair. Now, take a look at the picture and try to understand what's wrong with it. Look closer at the alphabet on the classroom wall. The order of the letters isn't correct. E and F have been switched. What can you say about this image? Yeah, the skyscrapers definitely don't belong here. Mrs. Mitchell fell from the third floor of her mansion. Atlas was walking by and saw it happen, so she called the police and ambulance immediately and stayed with the woman to make sure she was all right. The girl said she had seen Mrs. Mitchell washing the windows, so it probably was an accident, but Detective Callum didn't believe it and said that someone had pushed her out. Why? The window she fell out of is closed. If it had been an accident, the window would have remained open, but someone closed it. One late evening, someone robbed the arcade. There were 3 suspects: Ginny, Cyrus, and Charles. Ginny said she had indeed been to the arcade that day, but she was innocent. Cyrus said she had a date that day. She looked at the clock hanging on the wall and left the arcade at 6:30 p.m. Charles said he had been busy playing and hadn't seen or noticed anything. Who's lying? Cyrus. Here's the room he was talking about. But as you see, there's no clock on the wall. Another one for you. Be attentive. Look, the girl isn't reflected in the mirror. Weird. What's wrong here? The calendar claims there are just 30 days in August. Where's August 31st? What do you have to say about this one? It's morning, but there are stars in the sky, but they aren't visible during the day. Everly got into a car accident and lost memory. 2 guys, Toby and Dustin, came to take her home from the hospital. Each of them said he was her boyfriend. Can you tell who Everly's real boyfriend is? It's probably Dustin. He has Everly's name tattooed on his arm. Lyra woke up in a dungeon and couldn't remember what happened. The girl saw a door, but once she walked towards it, the wall started to move. Lyra could get out, but she needed to type in the 6 remaining digits of the passcode. Can you tell what the passcode is? The combination is just a set of 2-digit numbers: 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So the other 6 digits are 1, 6, 1, 7, 1, 8. They make the remaining 16, 17, and 18. In the first row, there are letters L, T, V, and X. In the second row, there are letters A, F, H, K, N, and Z. Follow this logic. Which 3 letters should be in the 3rd row? The letters in the 1st row all require 2 straight lines to be written, and they're in alphabetical order. In the 2nd row, the letters are also in alphabetical order, and they are made of 3 straight lines. So, in the 3rd row, there should be letters that require 4 lines, and they should be in alphabetical order too, which means these 3 letters are E, M, and W. Antarctica, Australia, Africa, Asia, and Europe. Can you tell what's similar about the names of these continents? All of them start with the same letter they end with. Ada and Celeste are going to work by car and are running late. Who's doing something wrong? Ada, she isn't wearing a seatbelt. Leo and Liberty are going on a date after Liberty has spent a month in London. The woman is driving to the restaurant, and Leo has already arrived and is waiting for her. Who is doing something wrong? Liberty, she's driving on the left side of the road. Girl, you're not in London anymore. Georgia is driving her car to school, and Palmer is taking her son to the doctor. Who is doing something wrong? Georgia, there's a cat wandering around in her car. The animal can get spooked, and then it may scratch the driver or hide under the pedals. It can lead to an accident. Eleanor and Fleur return home after spending the night at their friend's studying for the test. Can you tell which of them wasn't studying, but was instead at a party? I'd say it's Fleur. She's wearing a dress, high heels, and evening makeup. A college soccer team played 6 matches in the season. They won 2, drew 2, and lost 2. In total, they conceded 2 goals and scored 3. What are the results of all 6 matches? Every time they lost, they must have conceded at least 1 goal. They lost 2 matches and conceded 2 goals, which means they conceded 1 goal in each match. The score of these must be 0-1. We're out of conceded goals, so the score of the 2 matches that ended in a draw should be 0-0. Now, we're only left with the 3 goals and 2 winning games. So, in Game 1, they must have won with the score of 1-0, and in another one, with the score of 2-0. Neo works in an airport. His job is to check ID cards and not let suspicious people in. Take a look at these 3 ID cards and try to figure out which person has a fake one. The second ID looks suspicious. The month and day of birth are switched, so I'd pay closer attention to his documents. One evening, in the city's Museum of Natural History, the lights went off for 3 minutes. When the problem was solved, museum workers discovered that a rare and expensive dinosaur fossil had been stolen. The city's best detective came to investigate the case. He had 3 suspects and asked them what they had been doing when the lights had gone off. Ashley said that she had been in the bathroom. Ben said he had been in another room looking at paintings. Evan said he had been in the room with the fossil, but he couldn't see or do anything because it was dark. Who is lying? Ben, it's the Natural History Museum. There are no paintings. In a little town, someone stole a bucket of chicken wings from a local store. There were 3 suspects. All of them were customers who had been to the store that morning. A detective visited each of them and asked if they'd known anything about the incident. Mr. Gibbs said he'd been in a rush that morning. He had to be home on time for a work call. Mrs. Connor said her family was vegetarian, so she wouldn't be interested in chicken. Haley, a college student, said she had got her orange juice and sandwich and left. Can you tell who's lying? It's Mrs. Connor. She said her family was vegetarian, but take a look at the room behind her back. There is freshly cooked chicken on the table. Sierra and Fred like extreme sports. Sierra is about to jump with a parachute, and Fred is going to jump into the lake from a cliff. Who's in danger? Fred! There are rocks under the cliff he's about to jump from. Ava has 3 sisters, and all of them are mothers. Ava has 1 daughter. Eliza has 2 nephews and 3 nieces. Chloe has 1 nephew and 3 nieces. Ava has 1 nephew and 5 nieces. How many nephews and nieces does Ava have? Ava has no sons, which means all the boys are distributed between her sisters. Chloe and Ava have only 1 nephew each, while Eliza has 2. It means that Eliza doesn't have sons. Chloe has 1 and Ava has 1. Therefore, Ava has 2 nephews. Chloe has 3 nieces and Ava has 5. They both have Eliza and Ava as sisters. So the difference between them must be because of Chloe, who has 2 girls. Eliza has 3 nieces. 2 of them are Chloe's daughters and 1 is Ava's. It means Ava doesn't have any daughters, but Ava has 5 nieces. 1 of them is Ava's daughter, and 2 are Chloe's daughters. Eliza must have 2 daughters then. So, Ava has 2 nephews and 4 nieces.
Robert was a collector of rare coins. One day, the man called the police. "I got this coin only yesterday," he cried. "I've been looking for it for several years, and now it's gone. I'll bet it's one of my brothers. Frederick and Matthew live together with me. One of them collects ancient books, and the other is crazy about rare stamps. All our collections are kept in one large room." The police started to ask Robert for more details. It turned out that the key from the room where all the collections were was kept in a vase standing on the fireplace. The only person who visited the house was Robert's friend, Mark. The man liked the coin so much that he started offering big money for it. But Robert didn't agree to sell it. In the morning, he came to check on the coin, but it was missing. When the police arrived, they found out the room had been opened with the key. The police didn't find any fingerprints either. Do you know who stole the coin? It was Mark. He was the only person who had a reason for getting rid of the fingerprints. The brothers' fingerprints would be absolutely natural since they live there. There was a blackout in the city, but the bus driver still noticed a dog on the road and managed to stop in time. How did he do this? This accident happened during the day. It's nothing but holes tied to other holes. At the same time, it's as strong as steel, but not as stiff as a pole. What is it? It's a chain. Stephen's wife called the police and told them her husband had disappeared right from his garage. It happened several hours ago. The only thing she found there was a left-hand glove. When the police came, they saw it was a very peculiar glove. Such gloves were sold only in one store in their town. The store owner told them he had recently sold these gloves only to 2 people, Kevin, Stephen's neighbor, and Brian, Stephen's colleague at work. The police officers visited Kevin and asked the man to show them his gloves, but Kevin had just one. I lost the other glove a week ago, and I don't have any other gloves. The man even pulled the glove on to demonstrate it to the officers. Then the police visited Brian. I was wearing these gloves when I was repairing my car. They got so dirty that I threw them away. Who do you think knows something about Stephen's disappearance? Brian. Kevin put his glove on his left hand, and the glove Stephen's wife found was also for the left hand. A math teacher told his students about the Roman numerals. After that, he asked them to draw just one continuous line and turn IX into 6. The only condition was that the students were not to lift their pens from the paper until the line was finished. Jeffrey was the first to complete this task. How did he do this? He drew the letter S in front of IX and got 6. Both Sharon and Cynthia had a box of chocolates each. There were 14 chocolates in each box. Sharon ate several candies, and Cynthia ate the same number of chocolates that were left in Sharon's box. How many chocolates do they have together now? They still have 14 chocolates together. Kimberly inherited an old house from her rich aunt. When the young woman was exploring the cellar, she came across a massive wooden door. She opened it and saw a small room. In that room, there were 3 bags and a note on the floor. One of the bags has $1 million, and the others are empty. You can only open one bag, so think carefully. Kimberly also noticed there was a message on each bag. On the first bag it said, "The cash is not here." The message on the second bag was, "The cash is not here." And the message on the third bag claimed, "The cash is in the second bag." If only one message is true, which bag has the money? The money can't be in the second or third bags. If it was so, then 2 messages would be true. It means the money is in the first bag. When you look for something, you always find it in the last place where you search. Why is that? It's always the last place where you look because, after this, there's no need to continue your search. A married couple went on a vacation and asked their neighbor to look after their house. When they returned, the wife found out that she had lost all her expensive jewelry, and it happened because of a power failure, no less. The woman had hidden her jewelry in a supposedly safe place. The house hadn't been burgled. The neighbor was an honest person. The jewelry had disappeared by accident. What happened? The wife hid her jewelry in the freezer in a bag with frozen food. After the power failure, the food got spoiled. The neighbor decided to help and threw away all the bad food from the fridge, along with the jewelry. You're locked in a room with 3 doors. It's safe to walk through any of them, but the doorknobs are the real problem. One of them puts out high voltage. The second is covered with poison. Just 1 drop on your skin and you won't survive. And the third doorknob is so hot it will make your hand burn. What doorknob should you opt for? The second one. You can take off any piece of clothing and open the door with its help. This way you won't touch the doorknob with your bare hand. A woman was hit by a car that sped away right after the accident. When the police arrived, they found several witnesses who described the car. The detective went to the house of one of the suspects. There, he saw a car that looked like the one in the description. But when he questioned its owner, the man claimed he had spent the whole day at home. The detective realized the suspect was lying right away. How? He touched the hood of the car. It was still warm from the engine. I was driving along the highway when one of my tires burst. I stopped to change it, but when I came back to the car, I saw it had a flat battery. I looked around and realized I was in the middle of a small town. I decided to wait for someone who could help me. Suddenly, I heard glass shatter. The night was very dark, so I switched on the headlights and saw a man climbing out of a house. He was carrying a large bag. I got scared and ran to the nearest police station. That was Mr. Darrison's story. The police detective who was listening to him asked, "And where did you hide everything you had stolen from that house?" How did he come to that conclusion? If Mr. Darrison's car battery was flat, how could he switch on the headlights? Dylan was trapped in a basement. The only thing he found inside was a note and a pen. Find the way to get 200 out of 188 with one line, and you'll be free. 5 minutes later, the door opened automatically, and Dylan was free. What did he do? He drew the line to divide 188 horizontally. That way, he got 2 ones and 4 zeros. A woman in a purple dress exclaimed, "I've never been to this store, Cinderella dresses. What kind of name is this?" But many people claim that a woman in purple took all the money from the cash desk while the shop assistant was away and ran out of the store, Detective Smith told the woman. The woman exclaimed, "I was just standing outside when suddenly a woman charged at me. Of course, I got scared and ran away. Then a police officer saw me running and stopped me. I agreed to return to the store, hoping it'd clear up the confusion. Several visitors said I could be the thief, but they weren't sure. Now I know you're the woman who stole the money," the detective said. How did he figure it out? The woman said return to the store, which means she had been there before and lied about the whole situation. Your company produces shoes. You have 2 factories in different cities. The workers of both factories have started to steal shoes. You can't use any additional security, but you have to stop the theft. How can you do it? One factory should start making only left shoes, and the other only right ones. Detective Aaron Bowler participated in a competition organized by a private consultant who came from Europe. Aaron wanted to become the Detective of the Year very much. It was the evening of the last day of the competition. The consultant explained what would happen next. You will all gather in a large room. Once you hear a shot outside, you'll need to rush in and find the criminal. The winner will be the person who will get to them first. You aren't allowed to use any equipment or tools. Several hours passed, and the people in the room started to get nervous. Suddenly, Aaron got up and went to another room. His colleagues asked him where he went, but the guy only answered, "I need to get ready for the chase," and he took a seat without switching on the light. Several minutes later, the detectives heard the shot. Aaron ran outside and was the first to catch the criminal. The consultant gave the man his prize and asked, "What helped you to be the first?" What did Aaron answer? His eyes didn't need to get used to the darkness outside because he had already spent some time in a dark place. So Mia wanted to go to the party her classmate was throwing, but her father didn't let her. Mia thought for a while and remembered her grandparents had just moved to their new 1-story country house. She asked her dad if she could visit them at the weekend, and the man agreed. But Mia went to the party instead. When she got back home after the weekend, her father asked her if she had had a good time. Mia replied she helped in the garden a little and spent the rest of the day upstairs. Her father immediately knew she was lying. How? Mia said she'd been upstairs, but her grandparents' house is a one-story cottage. Liar, liar, pants on fire. 11 plus 3 equals 2. 10 plus 5 equals 3. Now how is that possible? It makes sense when we talk about time. 11 o'clock plus 3 hours is 2 o'clock. 10 o'clock plus 5 hours is 3 o'clock. One king wants to find out which of his 3 sons is the smartest. He takes 3 chests and puts his crown in one of them. On each chest there's a statement, but only one of these statements is true. The crown is in this chest. The crown isn't in this chest. The crown isn't in chest number 1. Each person can only open one chest. The son who figures out where the crown is will be the next king. But can you solve this riddle? If the first statement is true, the other 2 must be false. It's not so because the second statement turns out to be correct. So this assumption's wrong. If the second statement is true, the crown isn't in the first chest. It's not in the second chest either. Then it must be in the third one. But this makes the third statement correct, although it shouldn't be. If the third statement is true, the first one's wrong and there's no crown in the first chest. The second statement's also wrong. Now there are no contradictions. The crown's in the second chest. Here's a sequence of letters. Which letter should you add? The missing letter is F. If you put it at the end, you'll get E. James and Taylor were best friends in elementary school. Unfortunately, when the children were 10, James and his parents moved to another state. The friends lost contact. 15 years later, James and Taylor accidentally bumped into each other in a cafe. It was their first meeting since school. They recognized each other and started talking. It turned out Taylor was already married and had a daughter. "Wow," said James, "does she look like her dad?" "Oh no," Taylor said, "the girl's a mini version of her mother." "Ah, so she must be a blonde with blue eyes." This time, James was right. How did he understand that? Taylor's a girl. She's the mother, and James only needed to describe her. You're outside a room with 3 switches in the off position. Your task is to find out which one turns on the light in the room. You can flip as many switches as you want, but you can walk into the room and check if the light's on only once. How can you understand which switch controls the light bulb? Turn on 2 random switches and wait for a couple of minutes. Then, turn one of them off and walk into the room. If the light's on, the switch connected to the bulb is the one you left in the on position. If the room's dark, touch the light bulb. If it's hot, then the controlling switch is the one you just turned off. If the light bulb is cold, the correct switch is the only one you haven't touched. Esme got lost in the forest. She was wandering around for the whole day. Finally, at dusk, she saw a spooky house. A witch lived there. The girl had nowhere else to go, so she entered the house and asked for help. The witch said if Esme solved her riddle, she'd be free to leave in the morning. Here's how the riddle went. 17J, 70M, 96A, 162J, 256S, 354, what's the missing letter? The 17th day of the year is in January. The 70th day of the year is in March. The 96th is in April. The 162nd in June. And the day 256 is in September. Day 354 is in December. The missing letter is D. A young girl got her first job as a maid in a rich lady's house. Once, when she was tidying up, she noticed a very expensive collection of books. She made a break to look through one of them and then returned it to the shelf. The girl kept working until the very evening. No one else was at home. After finishing her work, the maid returned to the shelf and discovered that the sixth book was missing. But she clearly remembered that the book had been there before. It was the one she had been looking through. When the lady returned, the girl confessed she'd lost the book. But the woman only laughed and said everything was fine. Nothing was missing. How come? The collection had 8 books. The 9th book was actually the 6th one. The girl accidentally put it upside down. Right before Christmas, the police got information that a famous thief named Alfonso had left Chile. He boarded the plane to Los Angeles. The only thing the detectives knew about the man was that he had a beard. At the airport, the police officers met a group of people. They had just arrived from different countries. The detectives noticed 4 men with beards and interrogated them. The first one said he'd come from London. The second told the police he arrived from Chile, but his name was Cristiano. The third man answered he'd come from Sweden, and the fourth one was also from London. The police didn't even need to check their plane tickets to spot the criminal. How did they know? It's Christmas time, but the man who supposedly came from Sweden is dressed too lightly for that climate. He must have arrived from Chile, where it's summer. A road accident happened on a foggy day. 2 drivers were taken to a hospital. Each of them had a concussion. Interestingly, their cars didn't even have a scratch. What happened? The drivers were going in opposite directions. It was foggy, so they stuck their heads out of the window. They didn't notice each other and hit their heads. Ow! Samantha was born on January 27th. For the first 20 years of her life, she celebrated her birthday in the winter. But starting with her 21st birthday, she began celebrating it in the summer. Why? She moved to the southern hemisphere, where it's summer in January. 2 sisters, Ava and Nicole, are very honest girls. They always tell the truth, except for one day a year. On their birthdays, they always lie. Today is September 17th, and you ask them when their birthdays are. Ava says hers was yesterday, and Nicole says her birthday is tomorrow. The next day, you ask them again, and they say the exact same thing. Can you guess when their birthdays are? They can't have 2 birthdays. It means that one day one of them lied, and the next day it was the other's turn. Since Ava mentioned yesterday, her birthday must come first. So Ava's birthday is on September 17th, and Nicole's on September 18th. Bethany, Tommy, Eliza, and James spent the whole day at home alone. Their mother didn't let them enter her room. When she came back in the evening, she wanted to eat her chocolate bar, but it was gone. She went downstairs and asked the kids who had eaten her treat. Bethany said she'd been doing her algebra homework the whole day and hadn't eaten anything at all. Tommy replied he had been playing football outside. Eliza said she didn't even know where their mom kept chocolate. And James simply claimed it hadn't been him. Their mom knew immediately who had taken her chocolate. How did she figure it out? It was Eliza. The mother never mentioned what kind of treat was missing, but Eliza somehow knew it was chocolate. The father of identical quadruplets, Aurora, Belle, Chloe, and Dana, called the teacher and asked her to let Dana leave earlier. She had a doctor's appointment. The teacher couldn't tell the girls apart. To have some fun, the quadruplets refused to confess who was who, but gave their teacher a hint. Chloe is somewhere in the middle. Dana is to the left of Belle and to the right of Aurora. Aurora is right next to Dana. How can the teacher identify the girls? Chloe is somewhere in the middle, and since Dana has someone on both sides of her, she must be in the middle too. If Chloe was the second, Dana would be the third. Then Dana would be to the left of Belle, and Belle would be the fourth. Then Aurora must be the first. But it doesn't work, because Aurora and Dana have to be next to each other. If we switch Chloe and Dana, Dana will be right next to Aurora, but still to the left of Belle. So the right order is Aurora, Dana, Chloe, and Belle. Dana's the second girl.